Hey guys, Freddy here, welcome back to another Retro RPG. And at the end of another week and the end of another poll, we've got a clear win for the Star Trek 3 Sourcebook update from FASA for the Star Trek role-playing game. Now, just as a reminder, access to these videos is available to our Patreons a week early. So if you want to see what we've got going on, if you head over to our Patreon, any level gets you access to that. But I'll be back at the end of the video with other poll-related stuff, other channel-related stuff, so I hope to see you there. So this is the Star Trek 3 Sourcebook update from FASA, and it came out in 1984. Now it's a tie-in to the movie of the same name, the Star Trek 3 The Search for Spock. But the name of this book is the first thing I'd like to comment on, because it seems a little back to front. Surely it's a sourcebook updating you to Star Trek 3, so it'd be the Star Trek 3 Update Sourcebook, rather than an update to the Star Trek 3 Sourcebook. A little confusing, and that's going to get worse on the back cover because they can't seem to have decided what the book was called. But it's also a feature of many flaws and bits of confusion in this book, as we'll see as we go through. But let's have a look at the back cover. The Star Trek adventure continues. Bring your Star Trek role-playing universe up to date with the official Star Fleet Sourcebook update. The Star Fleet Sourcebook update. Okay, you're nearly there. It gives all the information necessary to play your games at the time of the movies. This supplement also contains a complete timeline from the beginning of Earth's space history to the time of Star Trek 3. Also included detailed sections on the changes made since the time of the TV series in the governments of the Klingons, Romulans, Gorn, Orions, and Tholians. Sections on the UFP, the United Federation Planets, and Starfleet Command, complete with photographs and illustrations, give the latest information on uniforms, insignia, equipment, sidearms, and shipboard systems. A Starship Recognition file gives pictures and data for the Enterprise, the Bird of Prey, and other starships. Personnel file gives the updated statistics on your favorite characters from the movies. Not from, form the movies. In addition to all this, a complete adventure, Lost and Presumed Dead, is included so you can use all the new information. Now, no barcode in it. So, a sign of the times that barcodes were probably only just coming in at that. And inside, we've got lots of photographs. The publishing standard is very much the level of the 1980s. So, no confusing background images, lots of clear layout. It's very serviceable. It's not the most exciting design, but it does its job. We've got lots of nice pictures, and we start off with the officer's orientation briefing, which explains the organization of the manual. And then we've got a timeline, taking it from when Kirk and Spock and McCoy travel back and meet Edith Keeler, so before World War II, right up to Star Trek 3. The Bird of Prey lands on Vulcan. And we've got Star Trek terminology, so the Genesis device, prefix codes, how to use them in the game, reference star dates. Then we've got the updates on the governments, the Klingons, the Romulan Star Empire, the Gorn Alliance, the Orion Colonies, the Tholian Assembly, and the United Federation of Planets. Uniforms and insignia. So it brings us up to date with the Star Trek 2 and 3 uniforms, but it doesn't really mention at all the Star Trek the Motion Picture ones. It glosses over them very quickly. It does mention about the belt monitors which were introduced in Star Trek the Motion Picture, which are then abandoned afterwards. But we've got stuff like the security armor, different communicators, environmental suits, radiation shielded suits, tricorders, more advanced versions. Then we're on to other tricorders and weapons, so the different types of phasers, Klingon Empire disruptors, Gorn Alliance blasters, shipboard systems, so thruster suits. Now we're on to the Starship Recognition file. Well, this is where things really start to go wrong. We've got nice stats for the shuttlecraft and warp sled, the travel pods, the Excelsior class, kind of details all them out. We've got the Enterprise class, named properly, although there's some oddity in here that apparently in the motion picture, the Enterprise launched with only its front phasers and one bank on the starboard side, I think it says, working. And okay, the ship's now been fitted out with more weapons because they felt that it had blind spots, but basically it could only shoot forward in the motion picture. And then we go wrong. So we've got the Reliant, or the Reliant class, as it names it. Well, it wasn't the Reliant class. It was the Miranda class. And the Gargarian class, well, that's the Oberth class. We know that from information released since. It really looks like FASA was making stuff up as they went along. You've got a Lotus Flower class neutronic fuel carrier, the Kobayashi Maru, which we never really saw in the movie, but okay, fair enough. I do notice that the cargo ship seen at the start of Star Trek 3, the one that the Klingons get the information about Genesis from and then blow up, isn't mentioned in here, which seems a bit of a gap. We've got the Space Dock. We've got the regular class orbital outposts. We've got Samson class warp tender, not mentioned in the movies, and not sure why it's in there. The Katinga class of the D7 battlecruiser, absolutely perfect naming. The Digavama bird of prey. No, that's the Burrell class, is it not? We know we've got the Cavorts and the Burrells, but Digavama, no, never heard that name before. And we're on to the Starfleet personnel files. Well, I've mentioned in one of the source books that I covered for Star Trek before about the languages, that I find it really odd. And in a discussion with people far more knowledgeable about the Star Trek role-playing game than me, apparently it's taken that the character speaks their native language. But it would be nice if they mentioned what that native language was. So, Kirk here, for example, we've got a list of his skills here, and we've got language, Orion, at 23%. Well, that's his only language skill. Well, we know he speaks English because we hear him speak English. So that must be his default language. Spock, well, we know he speaks English. He's got language skills, and there they are. English 48%, Vulcan 60%. So what's his native language if they're both language skills he's picked up? Does he have a third language? Does he speak French or something? Doesn't mention it. He's got those two skills, whereas Kirk has no English skill. So that seems to shoot down the idea that you get your native skill at 100% for free. You don't need that. Got Sulu, who has no language skills. Oh, no, language Tellarite there at 15. Well, Sulu's of Japanese origin, or at least the actor that portrays him is, so I would expect him to have Japanese. But he's also into the Three Musketeers and all that, so maybe he would speak some French. No, we forget that. He speaks Tellarite. McCoy speaks some Latin. Uhura speaks Swahili, French, Galacta, Gorn, Klingonese, Orion, and Romulan. Well, that's saying her native language is English, but I thought Swahili was her native language. And English would have been a learned one. Mistake I can forgive. But things really go down. Scotty, language Gallic. Chekhov, language Vulcan and Russian. So we take it that he speaks English as his native language. But Chekhov's definitely Russian. Russian should be his native language, and he should have language skills in English, and quite low ones, because he makes mistakes. Nuclear vessels and all that kind of thing. We've got Rand, who does French. Ark Terrell, who's got Orion. Savick, who has Romulan and Vulcan. So again, the hybrid, half Romulan, half Vulcan, as it does mention in her race, speaks both of those languages as second languages, and English as her native language. What's going on here? Especially since she speaks Vulcan at 94%, and Spock only speaks it at 60%. David Marcus has no language skills. Christine Chappell speaks Vulcan, which makes a lot of sense. She flirts with Spock, so maybe she'd learn some Vulcan. Khan here, we've got Khan Noonien Singh, who has no language skills at all. Well, he was a world leader. He's also Singh, So I always took him to be originally from India or that kind of area. So he doesn't speak English, or what's going on with the languages here? And then we've got the Klingon captain here, who has language Galacta. Okay, so fair enough. He natively speaks Klingon, because he's a Klingon. He's got Galacta, but that means all those conversations that him and Kirk have, neither of them speak the same languages. Why include languages and then mess them up so badly? You've got ships named badly, you've got languages messed up. There's not a lot of thought gone in here, at least from the point of an over-obsessive fanboy that I am. And we're entering the end of the section. We've got Lost and Presumed Dead, which has a modern Enterprise-class vessel in an area of space where there's no stars, encountering a Constitution class which has been missing for a number of years. And it ties into one of the Star Trek episodes, but the area of space they're in denies them the solution to that episode. So they have to come up with their own solution. And we've got the cast of characters, Games Master notes on the alien creatures which are responsible, and then we've got tables of the new weapons. And some attributes and random things for character generation in the new era of the movies rather than the original series. So that was the Star Trek 3 Sourcebook update, and that won the poll with a resounding 33% of the vote. Not as large as some games in recent weeks, but still a very solid lead over the second place tie, which was Cyber Generation and the Dark Tech Sourcebook, which both got 18%. So a very solid win for Star Trek 3 Sourcebook there. With that out of the poll though, having done the video on it, it creates a gap. And this week I really felt that I wanted to do something for Call of Cthulhu. It feels like a while since I've done something, but looking through my Cthulhu collection, most of the books I've got are adventures. And while I might go on to do adventures, I am kind of hesitant to do them because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who's going to play them. But I noticed Secrets of Japan, a sourcebook which came out in 2005. Now it's a very weighty tome. It's not as massive as the Beyond the Mountains of Madness book that is also for Call of Cthulhu, but it's a very thick, heavy book, and it's got loads of cool stuff in it. So I'm adding that into the poll to see if you want to see that. Great book. On other channel-related stuff, a couple of weeks ago I mentioned that the rules breakdowns videos are coming towards the end, because I've covered most of the games in my collection. I've got the games which is currently in the poll still to do, and I'm really going back picking through older videos. So this week, for example, I'm doing Cyberspace here, which is a video I did back in 2019. So quite a while since I covered that game, and to revisit and have a look through the rules. But with the rules breakdowns coming to an end, I was looking for suggestions as to what series should replace that. And I gave a few options that I'd had, and I asked for ideas. Now, the most popular of the options I gave was the House Rules one, where I would go through the games I've covered in the rules breakdowns and choose out sections that I liked best and build up a House Rules system based on the best elements of this game and that to build up my own House Rule game. And that seems quite popular. The series would then go on to doing House Rules options for other games, you know, going back to Shadowrun, things which have worked for me and my friends in that, Star Wars, Dungeons & Dragons, etc. And asking for suggestions which might need house ruled from yous. But that seemed quite a popular idea. Also, I've had a suggestion, which does seem popular as well, that I should do a kind of rules breakdown, but where I go over various editions of a game. So, for example, Shadowrun doing 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and going through how the rules have evolved and changed, and what the advantages and disadvantages of those changes have been. Now, I really like that idea. That's very good, although it's a fairly short series, because obviously we're covering Shadowrun in one video. But the problem I see with that is that it might take a long time, because if a House Rules video is 20 minutes long, then covering 5 editions of Shadowrun or many editions of Dungeons & Dragons would be hour long or more. as I go through how the rules work in 1st edition, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. And that doesn't seem like something I can sustain for long. The amount of editing and work that would go into each of those videos would mean I couldn't release one every week. But I like that idea, so I'm going to look and see how I might be able to do that in a shorter video form. Maybe going over part of the rules in each video. But we'll come back to that. As I said, I've still got lots of games to cover in the rules breakdowns, at least a couple of months worth of videos to do. Anyway, as usual, I think I've whittled on for quite long enough. So thank you very, very much for watching. Please make any comments down below, because I'd really appreciate hearing your ideas for what I might go on to, what would be useful to you guys, what you'd like to see. But, as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.